Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Premier League Phrontistery with me, Tom Atkinson, analysing round 9's fixtures in the Premier League this weekend. A lot to talk about, a lot to talk about. I want to start today with Man United and Chelsea. I want to analyse what did we think of that game, what did I think of that game. I want to have a look at some statistics comparing a couple of players, and I really want to have a bit of a discussion about Jose Mourinho. I'd love to hear your views on him. I'm sure you'll be made more than aware of mine very shortly. After that, I want to talk about Liverpool. I asked the question last week, are they title contenders? Nothing to deter me from thinking that they're in with a shout this year. Jurgen Klopp also being asked the subject in the press this week. We'll see what he said to that. Finally, I want to dedicate a little bit of time to last season's champions Leicester. Haven't enjoyed the greatest of starts this year by any means. Their form in the Champions League, though, absolutely superb. But could their 3-1 win against Palace this weekend reignite their season? Possibly. By no means do I think they're going to go ahead and put up a title challenge. But it's definitely going to be interesting to see how they react from a catalyst in that 3-1 win. Again, if you enjoyed the episode or you've enjoyed the shows thus far, please go ahead and subscribe below on the YouTube channel. Just make your life easy, you get the videos as soon as they come out. If you have any questions or you want to leave some comments, please go ahead and leave them down in the comment section below. I had a couple of pointers last week which were great, and I'll get back in touch with those people. Finally, if you want to find me on Twitter, my name's Tommyaki, my handle, it's at TOMMYAKKI. Thank you once again for tuning in, it really means a lot. I managed to get over 100 views last week, which was honestly meant the absolute world to me. So once again, thank you for listening in, and if you've got any questions or you want to ask anything or you want to make some points, please go ahead and get in touch. I'm a friendly guy, I promise. Thank you. So first of all, I want to talk about Manchester United. Well, actually, I want to talk about Chelsea's win against Manchester United. But despite the Chelsea win, I still think the majority of the talking points come from the red side of that battle. Pedro scoring inside a minute really just set the tone for that game. Absolute soul-destroying 4-0 defeat at the Bridge. Man United just looked lost, in all honesty. The goal that was inside a minute, Pedro's, what were Daley Blind and Chris Smalling doing? Absolute horror show in defence. Pedro glides between the two of them, rounds De Gea and slots the ball in. Like I said, it set the tone. And Man United they had their chances, but they really never looked like threatening. I've seen a few Man United fans on Twitter really going back to the David Luiz tackle, saying, well, that would have changed the game. For me, it was never a red. Luiz has his foot high, don't get me wrong, but kind of goes in half-hearted. He tries to pull out. Straight away, he's apologetic. I don't think there's any malice in that. And Fellaini's on the ground, sort of as if he's being shot. He's done much worse in his career. So for me, that was never a red. I think the yellow was actually a good decision. And it would have possibly changed the game had the referee given a red, but it didn't. You can't complain about it, you go on. And, Man United, like I said, they had a couple of chances. Courtois forced into a couple of saves. Lingard's shot really sticks out in my memory. But United just didn't look like they were ever really going to get back into that game for me. And I think what was really telling, if you look at Paul Pogba and Kante's statistics side by side, Pogba playing in that number 10 role, people have complained he's being played too deep by Mourinho. Mourinho shifts him further up the pitch. He has no shots whatsoever. He doesn't create any chances. 50% of his dribbles are successful. 3 fouls and a yellow. Just doesn't... You're relying on an £89 million player to make an impact instantaneously. And it's fair to say Pogba hasn't done that, in all honesty. He looks kind of lethargic. He's got quite a lot of catching up to do when it comes to getting up to Premier League pace. And, that's just my opinion, but Italy, they play the game a lot slower than in the United Kingdom, in England, sorry. And I just think Pogba looks off the pace. He doesn't look like he has the energy or the drive or the determination to really make a mark in any game he plays in, unfortunately. Now, if you compare him to Kante, who is by no means a stranger to anybody, had an absolutely superb season with Leicester, arguably helped them win the league more so than any other player in that team. And if you look at his stats, normally plays as more of a holding midfielder, seemed to be a bit more box-to-box in this game. 2 shots, 2 chances created, a goal scored, 5 interceptions, 2 blocks, no fouls. You know, the difference is night and day. And you really, like I said, you're relying on Pogba to take the game by the scruff of the neck and really control it. And he just didn't. And for me, it was Kante who did that. Everything sort of ran through him. The players could get further forward simply because they knew he was able to use his energy to get around the pitch and cover people. And he outshone Pogba by a million times, in all honesty. And I think some credit as well for that win not only goes to the likes of Kante and Hazard, who played absolutely superbly well, but I think you've got to look at the formation as well. Conte come into a little bit of criticism over the last couple of weeks, and seemed to tinker with the formation a little bit. Chalobah got a start, which was a little bit unexpected, but it was sort of the basics, the bones of the formation that really interested me. Was it a 3-4-3? Was it a 5-4-1? Was it a 4-5-1? I'm not really sure. It was really odd. There definitely was a central 3 with Alonso and Moses playing a sort of wing-back role. I don't really know how to describe it, but they did their job superbly. Ahead of them, Chalobah, absolutely superb. Hazard was brilliant. Kante, we've already touched on. The whole team played very well, but I think they were able to outfox Manchester United because they played such a, I don't want to say unique, but they kind of threw a curveball at United. I don't think United were expecting them to come out with such a fluid formation, in all honesty. And I think if you sort of add on to that, and we sort of revisit the Pogba issue slightly as well, they were able to really isolate Pogba. They were able to play around him. They were able to go wide, go through the middle. You know, it was just a really superb display from Chelsea. And I definitely think a lot of that credit goes to Conte and the fact of the way that, the way in which he was able to tinker with his tactics. He obviously watched the Man United Liverpool game and probably thought Man United were going to sit back and absorb pressure, which they seem to have done against bigger teams this year. And he was able to exploit it. And hats off once more again to Conte, because it was an absolute superb tactical decision that really sort of gave that crushing blow against Manchester United. Really sort of enhances Chelsea's title credentials this season. A win against a big team like United, of course, is going to create a furor in the press. And, just Chelsea looked a lot better team. There's rumours of discontent in the dressing room. You see Cesc Fabregas eating pizza and cake and all sorts and posting it on Instagram. But Conte to me looks like the kind of guy who's not going to deal with that crap, and rightly so. And sort of giving people like Moses and Chalobah and signing somebody like Marcos Alonso and giving him a run in the team, it's really starting to pay dividends for him, really. And I think this season that's what we'll see from Chelsea. I wouldn't be surprised to see the likes of Fabregas leave, maybe even in January, because he doesn't seem to fit the ethos or the style or the identity of the team that Antonio Conte wants. He seems to want a very workman-like team who are not afraid to work for one another but still have moments of class. And Chelsea did their title credentials a huge favour this week with such a fantastic result against United. And another team who really enhanced their title credentials this weekend were Liverpool. Once again, like I said, we asked the question last week, were Liverpool going to be serious title challengers this season? And for me, they did themselves another favour with a real comfortable win against West Bromwich Albion. I've been impressed with West Brom this season as well, in all honesty. People sort of see Tony Pulis as this dinosaur of football who can't play a short passing game. And fair enough, he does play a bit more of a direct game. He goes from front to back a lot quicker than a lot of other managers. But, I've been impressed with them this season, but just they were blown away by Liverpool, in all honesty. What they lacked, I'm talking about Liverpool here, what they lacked against United, they seemed to find against West Brom, which probably a little bit frustrating for Klopp, but shows that, the team can identify with what's going wrong and reassess and reevaluate and go again. And they looked absolutely fantastic. The first goal was an absolutely wonderful passing move, went from front to back within a minute and there was a goal. The chip into the box for Mane from Firmino was absolutely delectable. Honestly, it was absolutely superb. But all around, they looked fantastic. And the beginning of the move, that first goal, was that gegenpressing that Klopp seems to love with his teams. The high pressure when the other team have have possession anywhere on the pitch. And it was in Liverpool's Liverpool's half where they won the ball back, and then quickly the sort of change from front to back within a minute gave so much. It's almost like they spring a surprise attack. It is a counter attack as such, but just the manner in which they do it isn't a typical counter attack. There's flicks, there's flair, there's trickery. It's absolutely superb. Everybody looked very confident on the ball. And they just took their chances really well. That first goal, like I said, was an absolute piece of just magnificence in all honesty. And the second goal, the gegenpressing once more as West Brom sort of Darren Fletcher fanning around with the ball, giving Ben Foster a crappy back pass, which he scuffs up into the air. And, Coutinho profits from it, jinks inside, sort of tricks two defenders and slams it in the bottom corner. Just showed how willing Liverpool seem to be to work for Klopp and how much they've embraced his philosophy of this gegenpressing style of play. And like I just applauded Conte, you've got to applaud Klopp because that's his identity, that's his thumbprint that he has on sort of any team he's managed from Mainz all the way to Liverpool. And they seem to really respond to him. He's made some interesting comments this week in the press. Yeah, first of all, I think it was today actually, Monday, he came out and said that Mignolet is no longer the first choice. Really interesting move. Karius has taken over that number one spot, and he looks very assured on the ball, which I think is what Klopp wants from his keeper. Somebody who can start the moves if they need to. If they need to lower the tempo, so to speak. And sort of also quizzed about title chances across the course of this weekend, and in my opinion, certainly didn't downplay them, saying that he hopes that there'll be a similar conversation come season's end, that maybe it's a little bit too soon. But by no means did he say, no, it's out of the question, which to me it's a brave statement to make, but sort of a justifiable one as well, in all honesty. You play really well this season. Defence maybe asks for a little bit more improvement across the course of the season, but offensively look absolutely wonderful. Look a real handful for any team. Forcing teams like Jose Mourinho's Manchester United to just simply park the bus and absorb the pressure, come away from Anfield happy with a point. Never would you have thought that the United of old, especially under the likes of Alex Ferguson and, I don't want to say David Moyes and Van Gaal, but even under them you would have expected United to go to Anfield and sort of really pressure Liverpool and try and get a result. They didn't. They sat back. And, maybe that sort of hindered Man United's game plan against Chelsea. If maybe Mourinho's starting to feel the pressure a little bit now and responds to the media pressure and goes out trying to play against Chelsea in a more offensive manner. And he really struggled, and they struggled. And Mourinho and United were given a good scene to by Chelsea this weekend, in my opinion, from the fact that Liverpool were able to sort of really put the onus on United to defend. So once more, a tip of the cap towards Jurgen Klopp. I love him as a manager. I honestly do. His attitude, his humour, everything about him is absolutely fantastic. He's not that stereotypical bore and droll German that we all expect. He's great. He's got so much personality. He lights up that stadium. He adds something to the Premier League that I think we've missed, in all honesty, over the last few years. We've missed some enigmatic, or sort of, that's really not the best word, maybe energetic or frenetic kind of manager. We've missed somebody like that since possibly seeing Mourinho early at Chelsea, in all honesty, the first sort of season or so there. We've really missed that kind of boisterous, loud, sort of, I wouldn't say ill-mannered, but direct, blunt manager. And that, I'm really excited by Liverpool this year. I know they always get the jip for this is our year, that kind of crack, but I'm really, really impressed with the manner in which they've come out this season, and they've really played the Jurgen Klopp style of football, and they're reaping the benefits, in all honesty. So another title contender. We've seen a big shift this weekend. We saw City draw once more. Pep, I wouldn't say he's struggling by any means, but a couple of bad results that have sort of hit them hard in the sort of league standings, so to speak. They aren't running away with the title as many of us expected. Mourinho's United really fallen off the pace. Obviously, Everton succumbed to a shock defeat against Burnley. Hats off to Burnley, absolutely fantastic result for them. So really, it looks now that the likes of Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea, Tottenham slipped up again at the weekend, but we're seeing like a sort of a shift back and forth between the teams, which, like I said last week, most exciting Premier League season with a question mark sort of lingering there. Yes, definitely. You go from last weekend's results to this weekend's, just a tectonic shift in who we think could now be a forerunner or who we think now is going to challenge. I wouldn't have said Conte's men last week were a real title challenger, but they come out and beat Man United 4-0 and you can't write them off, can you? And Liverpool come out again and breeze through West Brom, and once more you've got to say that they're in with a chance. Like I said the other week though, the Premier League fixtures over Christmas, that congested period, will see the men from the boys at that point, in my opinion. We'll see how injuries and fatigue affect the teams in that real sort of melting pot of games, and it's going to be really interesting to see who comes out the other end really shining, or who's played well over that period, because that gives them the momentum to go for the rest of the season. So really interesting. Big congratulations to Conte and Klopp. They've done an absolute superb job, and it's going to be really interesting. I don't think we can turn around. I would have said City a few weeks ago as the prime candidate to run away with the league, but we just can't do that right now, unfortunately, or rather fortunately, because it's just making sure that we have another fantastic, energetic, full of twists and turns and surprises laden Premier League. Finally, I want to talk about Leicester. Leicester, obviously, last season, absolutely brilliant run to the title. Nobody expected it. And being a Sunderland fan, they absolutely hammered us the first game of the season last year, and I thought, bloody hell, here we go. But in all honesty, they went from strength to strength under Ranieri last year, developed a very specific brand of football that was very direct, really relied on the pace of the front men and the trickery of Mahrez and the finishing and the pace of Vardy to get them the wins. And this season, they've struggled somewhat to replicate that. However, a really, really impressive 3-1 victory against Crystal Palace. Like we said, they've had a poor season. Both teams, in all honesty. Palace haven't been superb either, but Leicester have had a poor season. They found some solace in their Champions League form, which has been absolutely terrific. And they've made some great signings, in all honesty. This weekend, we saw Ahmed Musa and Slimani play up front, with Okazaki up there as well. And Musa and Slimani looked absolutely brilliant. Their link-up play for that first goal was second to none. And honestly, they looked like Leicester of last season. They looked absolutely brilliant at times. And for me, it was bringing Shinji Okazaki back into the team that gave them that urgency that I think they've lacked. Kante was able to sit last season. We already spoke about him, but Kante was able to sit last year and just use his energy all over the pitch to force teams into errors and to launch counter-attacks. Okazaki was almost... He obviously wasn't playing the holding midfield role, but his energy and his passion and his determination in the final third of the pitch really forced Crystal Palace into sort of second-guessing themselves at times, and he gave them his buzz, his energy, gave Leicester a lot more opportunities to really get at Crystal Palace in this game. On top of that, Drinkwater looked fantastic once more. Again, another player maybe dropped a little bit of form, but seems to be finding his feet once more. He looked great. Everything that sort of came off or looked good came through Drinkwater at some point. Real dedicated performance from him. And then you look at Fuchs' goal, which was absolutely wonderful, wasn't it? Got to ask questions of Tompkins jumping out the way. Didn't really appreciate that at all. But hats off. I keep saying hats off, but congratulations more so to Fuchs, who, what a hit. Absolutely tremendous hit. That being said, the game itself wasn't necessarily a breeze. I thought Zaha looked very, very threatening for Palace at times. I thought Leicester didn't know what to do with him. Benteke just needed a little bit more luck, in all honesty. Hit the crossbar relatively early on. But take nothing away from Leicester. They took their chances. They looked like Leicester from last season. That passion, that drive, that energy seemed to be back. They made some great chances. They've been very bold in dropping players like Mahrez and Vardy when the goings got tough. Ranieri hasn't been naive and thought they're going to come to his rescue once more. He's been very, very intelligent in the way in which he's rotated his squad to try and get the best out of them. And Ahmed Musa had a very sort of difficult or troublesome start to the season. He really struggled to find form, but he looked brilliant at the weekend. So he is hoping that he comes back into the Leicester squad next weekend or the weekend after, and hopefully he can replicate that performance, because it's really going to help Leicester's chances this season. Where do we think Leicester are going to finish? Really interesting question, and I'd love to hear what you guys think about where they could finish the season. For me, I think anything inside the top 8 is a great performance, considering the sort of, I wouldn't say upheaval as such, but the pressure that comes with trying to match last season's performances. Anything inside the top 10, in all honesty, is going to be good for them. They're never going to have a title challenge, unfortunately. And I think the best sort of news for their fans is how great they've been in the Champions League. And it looks as though they're going to go through from the group stages into the knockout stages. So fingers crossed for them. I really, really hope they do well. I think that everybody associated with that club deserves a huge pat on the back. And they deserve everybody in England and every Premier League sort of fans' best wishes, because they're a real shining example that all the money, all the TV money and the greed that we see in the league, that real determination, grit, mettle, and sort of not throwing silly money at players and investing wisely in players like Mahrez and Kante really gets you somewhere, or can get you somewhere. So really looking forward to seeing if Leicester can progress from this victory this weekend. Fingers crossed they can. Any questions, any sort of notes or additions you want to add to any of the 3 topics that we've discussed this weekend? Please feel free to shoot me a message either through the comments on here or on Twitter. Like I've already mentioned, my handle's at Tommyaki. That's at TOMMYAKKI. Another absolutely fantastic weekend of football. Really can't wait for the next weekend again. Not so much for Sunderland away to Arsenal, God help us, but the season is shaping up very nicely. Nobody's running away. Nobody looks like just the ultimate title challenger, the ultimate package. Everybody in that top 7 or top 8 now looks like they could be in within some kind of shout. Who knows what's going to happen? Who knows? Who knows where the time goes? Nobody knows, unfortunately. And I don't think anybody can really make a firm suggestion about what's going to happen this season. Another weekend of fantastic action. Feel free to leave a like, a comment, a subscription. Totally up to you. Join me again next week where we look ahead again to some Premier League action. We're going to analyse what's going on once more. But thank you again for watching, for listening. I really appreciate all the time and effort you guys give for listening. It really makes me feel great when I get some interaction and when I see the views go up. It makes me think I'm doing something that's worthwhile. So really a sort of a big hats off. A big thank you to you guys who listen in every week. Thank you so much. I'll speak to you again next weekend. Take it easy, guys.